Lily Potter, victim of war. Lily Potter resided in Cahir for 8 years from 1913 as the new bride of District Inspector Gilbert Potter until her sad departure from Cahir in 1921. Lily was born to Charles and Mary Harding in Charleville, County Cork. After Charles' wife Mary passed away, he married again, and his new wife had a daughter, Georgina, born about 1833, so Lily became a big sister. Unfortunately, Georgina died at the age of 12, leaving Lily an only child. It is said that Lily had a strict upbringing, played the organ at the local Anglican church, loved arts and theatre. This may explain why she loved to visit her uncle in Dublin, as he gave her a great time and introduced her to Dublin society. On one such trip in 1911, she met Gilbert Potter. Gilbert was born in Leitrim in 1878. A whirlwind romance followed, but Lily's father and stepmother were not happy with the relationship at all. Her father, a justice of the peace and a successful businessman, saw Gilbert as a man with limited prospect. As fate would have it, Lily's father and stepmother both died in 1912, and in February 1913, Lily was left as administrator of his estate, valued at thousands of pounds. A few months later, she marries Gilbert at St. Anne's Church of Ireland in Dublin. About this time, Gilbert took up his position in Cahir as district inspector for the Cahir area. They moved to Aspley House in Wellington Street, now Pearse Street, in Cahir. This fine house is just a short walk from the RSC barracks. The couple had a great lifestyle and made many friends in and around the area. From 1913 to 17, Lily gave birth to their 4 children: Georgina, Hilda, Gilbert and Freddie. Lily and Gilbert's income allowed the family a comfortable life. They had 4 servants, a nanny, a nursemaid, a cook and a part-time housemaid. With the War of Independence, the Potters' lovely life was about to be shattered. It became intense, with many more attacks on rural stations. The RIC were now seen as the eyes and ears of the British forces. Many constables had been shot, even tax offices had been burned down, and there had been many ambushes in the local area. Most of all, the Black and Tans had arrived in greater numbers to support the RIC, resulting in many Catholics now leaving the RIC. And violence towards civilians increased. A brutal war ensued. In Cahir, as in many other country towns, life got a lot more difficult. In Cahir, D.I. Potter was the man in charge. On the 23rd of April 1921, he set off in his car on a regular tour of inspection of RIC stations. That night he did not return home. He had been captured by the IRA, who had that day had an ambush at Highlands Cross, as military supplies were being delivered to Cahir military barracks. During his captivity, he was allowed to keep a diary and write letters. He was treated well and shown every consideration. Gilbert had the sad task of writing in his diary on the 27th of April from the Nile Valley, where he was held, slept well, rose at 8:30, had tea and egg at 9:15. About 11 a.m. I was told I was to die this evening. The young men guarding me have been kind all through. He also wrote, I quote, I leave to my darling and devoted wife everything I possess. Records tell us that she received a letter from the IRA on the 29th of April. Madam, it is my sad duty to inform you that your husband, Gilbert Potter, was legally executed yesterday. Also returned to Lily on the 8th of May, 11 days after his execution, on a box he had written, enclosed for my wife. The box contained wristwatch, gold ring, cigarette holder, silver matchbox, set of keys, and a letter for his uncle Bishop in Waterford and for her. In addition to all that, grief. Imagine how she felt when she heard that the authorities in Dublin Castle refused to exchange prisoners, as the IRA had offered Thomas Traynor, father of 10, for her husband. They refused to swap. In August, she also had to act as a hostage for the return of her husband's body. This truce was signed But the IRA still could not trust the English, so she had to go with them, with 3 men in an open truck, close to the woods near Rathgormack in County Waterford, to collect the body. Shortly after the funeral, they left Waterford quayside and they sailed for England, settling in Tunbridge Wells in Kent. More sadness for Lily. Daughter Georgina took ill and was sent to a nursing home for a few months after arriving. Then 5-year-old Freddie, a few months later, died of whooping cough. And just 5 years after her husband's death, Lily Mary Potter of Cliff Coombe Nursing Home died on the 21st of June, 1926. The children would be looked after by their father's relations for many years. They were indeed victims of the War of Independence.